Hey everyone, I wanted to talk about books today. I know that I talked about books the other day, and by other day, I mean like when I first started this podcast. Um, but I just really want to reiterate how important books are, not just to me, but I feel like they're very important for personal growth, whether it be in a spiritual sense, in a personality sense, in a educational sense. I feel like there are always books out there that can change and mold your mind to kind of benefit you in any way, shape, or form. Um, and I didn't really start to realize this until I started my own spiritual journey and I started to analyze books differently. And I started to see things in a different light. So, what I mean by that is just instead of just reading a book and enjoying the story, I kind of started nitpicking at it. And this was all due to a man that had a podcast about Harry Potter. And it's called Harry Potter and the Sacred Text. And it's basically their analytical point of view on the Harry Potter books. And they go chapter by chapter. And they reference a lot of it to their lives, to I think like a religious or spiritual aspect. I'm not too sure. It's been a while since I heard it. And it really got me thinking, should I be reading books the same way? And mind you, I don't go to therapy, not because I don't want to. It's just hella expensive, and your girl don't really got the best insurance. So I started using books as a way to kind of relate in a sense and see like how they went about things. So, for instance, I just started reading Harry Potter, and it's really interesting. I do enjoy it. Sorry for the Harry Potter fans out there that have been Harry Potter fans for years. I know it's controversial now, but anyways, I started to really analyze it the way that he did, and I started to really relate to a lot of the things. It wasn't just a story that I was reading. And it happened recently when I was reading A Brave New World, which is a classic. And I started realizing that a lot of the things that I have now, like trauma wise, happened in my childhood. And the reason for that is because that book has a lot of reference to childhood trauma, child conditioning for certain things. Because basically they condition their workers since they're kids to like the work that they're going to be put in years to come. So I realized that, you know, a lot of trauma that I have is childhood wise, and it's nothing like deep. It's more in the sense of I'm afraid of needles, and the reason I'm afraid of needles is because I used to get a lot of surgeries when I was younger. I was born with a deformed ear, and I had to get a lot of surgeries up until I was like 8. I had like maybe 6, 7 surgeries to kind of form my ear or whatever. But I realized that a lot of the trauma that I have with needles, with having things in my face, and all that good stuff, it all stemmed from that because I was just a young girl. I didn't really understand, and it really kind of helped me kind of piece things together and realize it. And so it all happened through reading this book. And the more I read it, the more that I was like, holy shit, like I can relate to this because this happened in my childhood and now I'm afraid of this. You know what I'm saying? A balloon popped in my face when I was like 5, and that's why I still hate balloons popping in my face. And it's not just something that I realize, but it's something that I want everyone to realize is books can be very helpful in that sense, and it's all how you interpret it. So, I mean, here's just like another campaign to be like, read more books. Obviously, if you don't like reading, Audible is always a choice. I used to be really into self-help books, so Audible always used to be the go-to. Um and yeah, like it's honestly really helpful, but also you get to realize a lot of the stories have the same plot line, just a different way of saying things. And not gonna lie, I used to hate that because I used to read The Hunger Games, and then, there was that like vampire trope that always used to happen. And honestly, I used to be like, oh my God, that's so stupid. But then once I started to reread those books, I realized, oh my God, I used to be in a scenario similar to this. And I'm over here calling them stupid, but I was doing the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure some of us have been in Bella's position where we're head over heels over a ain't shit person, and we're doing the most. We're doing the absolute most. And, we don't realize that we're just being stupid, And I realized that I started using it more for my spiritual journey because I feel like I still am, in a sense, like going through it. I mean, I'm still young. I don't know the ways of the world, but I'm starting to. I'm starting to really analyze things correctly, and I think a lot of us just kind of pick a book up and we're not interested because either the storyline's not okay, or we're just reading it to read it, or it's a recommendation. And honestly, I feel like recommended books are the absolute most valuable books there are. Anytime any person recommends me a book, 9 out of 10 times I will probably read it unless I forget to. And it's mostly because if you read a book that someone recommends to you, that is a book that really resonated with that person. And what better way to get closer to that person than to realize who they are and their interests? You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be anything. I remember one time someone recommended me a self-help book, and I read it and I realized, oh my God, this is why they have this way of thinking. This is why, this person is so upbeat. This is why this person has such a good look in life, a good outlook in life, because they read this book and it really resonated with them, and it resonated with them so much that they recommended it to me. And same thing with me. I mean, I will recommend a book to anyone. Anything that you are going through, best believe I have a book for that. I feel like sometimes people just kind of pick up a book and you don't really analyze it. And I started realizing that, and I realized that's how you're not, how do I phrase this? I realized that a lot of the times you're not really living in the present moment. You're a lot of the times just wanting to get through it. And it took me a long time to realize that. And it's kind of difficult too, at the same time, to be present, because I feel like now it's such a go, go, go type of world that, we don't really have time to be present with ourselves and with each other. And so this whole idea of reading a book really started off this notion of being present. So when I read a book, I'm not just sitting down and reading word for word. I'm sitting down and really thinking about what is going on in the scenario, what's going on in this world. Why is this happening? What's going to happen next? And not even what's going to happen next, but, what do I feel would be the best outcome for this, And I started realizing this more when I started the book club with my girlfriend, and we would read and then analyze the chapter, because we go chapter by chapter. Siddhartha is pretty short, so it's not like long ass chapters that we have to memorize or anything. But I remember the other day we just sat down and reread a chapter, and then once we were done with the chapters, we discussed it. And it was very present, and it was very intimate, I guess, in a sense, because we were both, physically there, No one had to go out. We both decided, okay, we're going to sit here, we're going to read, and then we're going to talk about it. We're going to be present in this moment, and we're just going to do it up. Because she finished reading first, because I forgot what I was doing. She finished reading first, and instead of going off to do something, she stayed. And she stayed and read some notes about Siddhartha and the certain chapter that had happened. And I think it's so important to be in the present moment when it comes to today, because a lot of the times we're so go, go, go that we miss out a lot on the things that really matter, like ourselves and our person and our being. I think a lot of the times we get so burnt out because we're not paying attention to ourselves. We're not paying attention to our needs. We're more just paying attention to what we need to get done. And I don't know, I feel like reading a book is one way of doing it. I think it's very important to just be present and read even a chapter. If you really don't like reading, I suggest reading something that you would like. Don't just pick up a book and just because someone recommended it. If you're not into reading, read something short. Read an article. Read an article and don't pay attention to the outside world. Don't go through Instagram while you're reading it. Don't put on YouTube while you're reading it. Literally just sit there by yourself or with a person near you, but make sure they don't distract you, and just read. Even if you don't read, I think another thing that I recommend is journaling. And that's also a way of kind of finding your own voice and finding your own purpose and coming back to yourself. I actually wanted to talk about this a while ago. I'll probably do an episode maybe today, later today or tomorrow. I don't know. I'll record it because journaling in itself, I think, is very important as well. But that's a whole nother topic. Let me not get into that right now. But yeah, I feel like if you're really not sure where you're going in life, if you don't know what's happening, I think reading is the best therapy for oneself. Don't skip out on therapy though. If you are going to therapy, good for you. If you're not, you should definitely go. I feel like we should all go. But if you have shitty insurance like I do, I'm sorry, bro, but we can start a community and talk about our feelings and figure out what's going on, meditate together. You know what I'm saying? I got some singing bowls. I got one, but beside the point. It's just something that I feel like everyone should do at least once a month, maybe, I don't know, once a year. Because I think it's really important. I think literature is something that's kind of dying out unless you're really, really into it. I know people that haven't read since they were in like high school. And that's really sad to me because there's so many books. There's so many books out there that can help you out. And I highly recommend A Brave New World because, first of all, it's crazy as shit. If my girlfriend is hearing this, skip for like a good second. I'm about to tell everybody the plot. But it's a really good book. It's honestly about, God, what is it even about? Because honestly, it follows like three or four characters, depending. It's like a world. It's told in a third person point of view. So you honestly kind of get to feel, or you get to know what everyone is feeling or thinking. And it's very interesting because it follows two characters who are established in this world that has soma, which in my mind, soma is like a drug, kind of like, I wouldn't say like LSD or anything like that because it's not a hallucinogen, but it kind of makes you feel high and nice, kind of like, I guess you could kind of say like weed in a sense, where you just chill and you're in a good mood. And that's kind of how everybody stays happy. If you're not happy, then you're recommended to take Soma or Sama. I don't know how to pronounce it. I pronounce it Soma. But yeah, so you follow these two characters in this developed world. And then there's technically two, but this one particular character, he's called the Savage because he was born in a more underdeveloped world, in a reservation. So it's people that still give birth and have parents and don't take Soma. It's more old school, kind of like this world right now, where they still have religion, they still have parents, they still have, like old beliefs compared to this new world where the other two characters live. They don't have parents, they're all genetically modified, and they are created by the thousands because they take an embryo and kind of just split it. So you will have twins, triplets, quadruplets of the same person, working the same job, working the same field. And it's like factory based kind of. It's a factory for humans. And yeah, so it's two split different worlds, and then they kind of just collide in a sense. And this is where it goes back to referencing a lot about child development, because a lot of the conditioning is done from when you're a baby. You know what I'm saying? The babies get conditioned. Say you're not supposed to be smart, but you're supposed to be working out in the field. Then they'll condition you to like plants, but they'll condition you to fear books. So there's never a chance of you rebelling against the system because you are afraid of reading. So you'll never pick up a book and read. They also don't have books per se because they don't want people to be knowledgeable. They don't want people to explore outside of whatever they're supposed to be doing. Basically, you are bred to be, whether it be a factory worker, an analyst, someone working in a mine, anything like that. And I think it's really interesting because that's kind of the book that made me realize. It made me realize a lot more than I thought it would. I kind of came into this book just wanting to dive into it. I saw that it was a classic and I want to get more into classic books. And once I started seeing the storyline and I started to really pick it apart, I realized a lot about myself. And because of that, I was like, damn, I really want people to think that same way. Again, I am always rooting for everyone. I don't care who you are. I don't care if I know you, if I don't know you, if I met you like one time at a McDonald's bathroom and I waved at you and you waved back. It doesn't matter. I want you to thrive. And I feel like every single time that I realize something about myself and something that helps me, I definitely want to pass that message along because it's so important to help everyone out. And I don't understand this generation, or whatever generation is the one that kind of keeps to themselves. I'm not about to point anyone out. I don't really like the generation where, everyone is for themselves. You can't help anyone out. People are going to steal your ideas if you do something. You're always doing everything secretly because you don't want the next person to grab your idea. But honestly, I love sharing ideas. I love sharing my idea so that someone else can make it their own and share their version of my idea. You know what I'm saying? Because nothing is original in this world. Absolutely nothing. And I feel like it's stupid to think that you are the first original person. I mean, ideas are born collectively. You know what I'm saying? One person may think of one thing, the next person will make it better, the next person will make it great. So, I personally want to share this with you guys, not just because I want you to read more books, because I want to build a book club, which is my ultimate goal, but also because I just feel like if you start analyzing books, you'll slowly start analyzing yourself. And this isn't in a self-deprecating way of God, I'm doing so wrong, but just in a sense of analyzing yourself on how you're doing. If you like what you're doing, a lot of the times we're so go that we don't really take a minute to check on ourselves and analyze, is this really what I want to do? Is this the path that I want to take? And a lot of the times it's probably a no, or a lot of the times it's probably a yes. But no one's going to know that until you start to really look at yourself and see what the heck is going on. And honestly, even if it's not with books, I still want to instill the fact that, I think it's important to take a minute for yourself, even if it is to just bird watch or something, and slow down. Honestly, I feel like so many of us are so burnt out now, and it usually has to do with not taking a minute for yourself. And I don't know, maybe after a while you'll start doing something more than just sitting down and just watching birds. I think it's more than that. Because I always advocate for meditating and reading, but I feel like it's just another form of meditation, just like journaling is another form of meditation, just like, any type of hobby can be a form of meditation because you're present with yourself. You're doing it for yourself. I think once it starts getting too stressful, that's when you kind of have to chill and reassess yourself. But that's also the perfect way to reassess yourself. If you're stressed, if you're doing something that you supposedly love, but you are stressed, I think it's time to reanalyze, not necessarily the thing that you're doing, but your process too. Why is it stressing you out? Why is this one thing that I supposedly love causing more harm than good? And I think a lot of the times we don't really see it that way. We just kind of see it as, I told myself that I love this. I told other people that I love this. And it ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy podcasting. I enjoy writing. I enjoy creating. And most of the time, or sometimes, I get stressed and I realize it's not because of what I'm doing. It's not because I'm doing a podcast. It's not because I'm writing. It's not because I'm sewing. It's because I'm psyching myself out. It's because I'm putting too much pressure on myself. It's because I'm putting a deadline on something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you always have to analyze yourself and analyze what is going on around you to cause you to not like what you're doing anymore. And again, I'm gonna loop this back around. I feel like we should all just read more books, because a lot of the time books will have the answer to your questions. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times history has repeated itself so many times that you will probably find the answer in a book. You will probably find your answer in a journal entry that you wrote like 7 years ago. You know what I'm saying? You'll find your answer somewhere along the lines of your life. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I mean, I hope that you guys have a good day. If you're listening to this in the morning, good morning. If you're listening to this whatever time, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you had a wonderful day, and I'll catch you around in the neighborhood.